and let us all do we can to build a better future.
Story for the people. What is going on?
So I got a Supreme Court story for everyone because I just thought this was fascinating in the Biden era. Remember, it is the Biden-Kamala era. You know how like there's a whole thing that you can be an American and you can be deployed somewhere or live in another country and you can still vote in America for an election. You know, the whole, being able to vote thing. Well, I'm sure people already know that the only exception to that is if you live in a colony of ours, a territory. And the Supreme Court just did a ruling where it was very funny. I was listening, not very funny, but I was saw this and I'm like, this seems like the Dred Scott case in that they're like, nope, you aren't allowed true citizenship if you're a colony of America. So this was, again, they were seeking birthright citizenship. Like, again, it's like you could have a U.S. citizen. You just have to like go from American Samoa, take a plane to L.A., have the kid, and then it's a citizen. But if they're born in Samoa, it's not possible. And so this is a case precedent law from about 100 years ago. So under where it says who is a citizen. Anyway, so for U.S. terror, basically the thing they say is for everyone else, the fact that you're born on American soil means that part of the Constitution, boom, you're a citizen, unless. And I didn't realize this until this story. Unless you're born in American territory, then Congress determines whether or not you're a citizen. And so this is the case that they were trying to work with effectively. And the Supreme Court said, nope, colonies are not real people. We will keep them separate but equal. You have your own little thing. We get to control your laws. We get to basically control your colonies, and you don't get to vote. And sit down, shut up, and smile. And there's more to it than that, but that's generally the thing. And it's like, to show. It's like, it's like people. We talk a lot about stories, from an economic point of view, of people, groups that have trouble voting or getting equal voting or having polling stations that stay open during elections. They are not even eligible for that. Wow. The only place you can be in America then not be able to participate in voting is a territory. You could, I'm sure if an election was happening, you could vote from the moon.
My goodness. So I want to pull up something here real quick because, again, the article also mentions Puerto Rico. Someone should, I hope that our politicians understand that people in Puerto Rico are American citizens too. And while this isn't related to what's happening in America, Samoa, the fact that in order for Puerto Rico to get supplies or any kind of relief or aid, it has to be done through American ships. And since then, we've had politicians treat the people of Puerto Rico like absolute garbage. We've seen this happen over and over again. And the fact that the Supreme Court is doing this now, it's indicating, well, you can't be a citizen. Then what does it mean to be an American citizen at all? I mean, I thought we were supposed to be this great bastion, like everyone should be like us, inspire to be like our democracy, to hold the same values that's led to the foundation of this great republic. But ever since then, that's a story that people say to each other to comfort themselves. There's a lot of problems with our country, the way our government is run, how again, policies are implemented on everyone that lives in this nation or is under a territory or colony. And the sad truth is we're not our leaders' number one concerns. Our laws don't really represent us or protect us. You want to know who the number one people are that our government will care for? It's the top 1%, the banks, the corporations, Wall Street executives, hedge fund managers. Daniel, I want to give you go. You got the final word.
To the bottom of the article, the last two paragraphs. I want to read these out, and then I'll explain something.
Okay. All right, this is it. Monday's action?
Yeah. Monday's action. So they're talking about the fact that they're not getting citizenship. Okay. Is a victory for both the Biden administration
What?
and the American Samoan government. Remember, they're talking about it from American Samoa because that's where the case has evolved from. But this applies to Puerto Rico, the U.S. Virgin Islands, all the other places we control, not just Samoa. So, okay, I'll narrate what I'm trying to say after I read it. Let me do that first. Though neither party defends the offensive language in the insular cases, which again, what's that matter? Here's a question for everyone while I read this. If there was a law that was good that helped your life, but it was very bigoted in how it talked about you, would you prefer that, or a law that does nothing to help you but is very pleasant in its wording? Anyway, nor does the United States firmly oppose Samoan citizenship. Oh, we're not technically against it, except it's a victory that it didn't happen. The United States rests an argument instead in the text of the citizenship clause, which it contends intentionally excludes territories from birthright citizenship conferred by the Constitution, which is, again, it's interesting that it's a constitutional mandate that Congress is like, yeah, but we get to determine that, even though that's sort of the point of the Constitution. The U.S. argues that American Samoans have the legislative route to birthright citizenship available to them. If there is a consensus in favor of birthright citizenship, they should pursue it in the representation of Congress, which is what I was saying earlier, that Congress decides this, not the Constitution. Otherwise, however, the United States says it does not want to trend on the self-governance. First of all, self-governance of American Samoans is one of the funniest statements NPR has ever written. To that end, the American Samoan government intervened in the case to argue that birthright citizenship for American Samoans would undermine the island's ability to self-govern and maintain cultural autonomy. I love that NPR is throwing this because people read the beginning and the end of these stories a lot of times. Besides just the title, it's like the biggest thing is they read the title, and then the next biggest group are people that read the first and second or so paragraph, and the second or last paragraph. So if you just read through this like that, you don't get to that middle. You get a very different article. But here's what I think is interesting: they're a colony. They don't have self-determining governorship. What are you even saying? What country in the history of the world? Oh no, it's our colony. They do what we say, but also they're completely free to do whatever they want and do all this stuff. Here's the reason for a lot of these colonies. I think American Samoa specifically has an enormous military base in American Samoa that represents an enormous amount of their income is from this base. This is one of those everything about the economic situation keeps a certain thing going in a certain direction. So in this case, it's the biggest kind of, I don't know if it's the biggest employer or industry. I'm pretty sure it is in American Samoa, is the U.S. Navy or thing, connected to that. But again, the whole thing that they're really trying to spin in this NPR article is saying this is a victory for the rule of law because it doesn't matter what the people in the case are. The American Samoan government, which is completely independent and makes all of its own decisions, and Joe Biden think it's good that this is happening. So that's the tone that we're going to run this off, that this is good, that people aren't getting citizenship. Isn't that amazing? Hey, guys, when Republicans try to stop citizenship from happening, what do we do on the show? We say, hey, that's bad. You shouldn't be doing that. What does NBC say when the Republicans try to stop or slow down citizenship or voting rights? Like Mississippi or something. They go, hey, that's bad. Don't do that. Keeping an entire class of people separate that are American citizens for the most part, or American nationals, depending on which one of these colonies we're talking about, from not being able to vote, not being able to be citizens. That's the good thing, according to the Democratic Party.
Again, well said, Dan.